So I am so excited to be speaking to Coco Bassey, who is a digital uh, marketer. She is a content creator and she is an
Mhm,
influencer. I think there's so much more to her than what I've just
mhm.
mentioned now. And I'm looking forward to chatting to Coco for the next couple of minutes about the influencer marketing industry. I'm going to ask her about herself, and also, really during a time, COVID-19, that has really impacted a lot of people. Also going to ask her to share her thoughts on that situation and her current situation on a personal level. So
Mhm.
thank you so much, Coco, for joining me today. I am really excited to be chatting to you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the time, and I'm looking forward to getting into the questions that you have.
And first of all, I also just want to clarify that Coco is in New York in America,
Mhm,
and I am from South Africa, from Cape Town.
mhm,
So there is a huge time difference. And really, due to COVID-19, I do feel that, everyone across the world is really suffering. So that is also why, I've decided to, and as the Spottmedia decided to link up with Coco. So Coco, just for everybody, just share with us on who are you? Who is Coco Bassey?
mhm. Sure. So I guess for starters, I live in the United States, but I'm Nigerian, so I'm African as well. I've lived in the United States since 2006. I started my blog after university and grad school, and it was kind of like my side passion project alongside my corporate job. So I started it in 2013, and it was just out of my home in Atlanta. I didn't know much about what the industry would eventually evolve into, but I did see, I think this was around the time that blogging was starting to be a thing. Everyone had their own websites, they were sharing personal style. If you were like a food blogger, it was recipes. So like whatever area of interest you had. And it was kind of everyone's way to flex like our creative muscles, but then also to kind of find your own little community on the internet too. So I started it. My sister was my photographer. Neither of us knew the ins and outs of even like how to use a camera. So it was like a learning curve for both of us. And being based in Atlanta at the time, I think even today, the two big markets in the United States are LA and New York. So being in a secondary market was really, really helpful for me to forge relationships with brands. Like if a brand had a store opening or anything along those lines, specifically in Atlanta, it was easier to kind of stand out and make those connections. So I think that that was really, really instrumental for me in those first few years. And yeah, so kind of fast forward to today, as of earlier this year in January, I transitioned out of the corporate world and took my blog full time. Moved up to New York, which is kind of something that's always been a dream of mine. Obviously, like it's a weird year with coronavirus and everything coming down like a few months later, but I'm still like really happy with this decision I made. And I think now more than ever this year, especially, it's been kind of a good exercise for everyone to take a pause and kind of decide, what exactly are we in it for? When it comes to really pushing products and clothing or beauty brands and things like that, besides all of that, like what do we stand for as individuals? And so I think that that's been really great to kind of take this year to think back and like apply a little bit more of a human touch to each of our personal brands.
I love that. And I just want to
Mm-hmm.
know more about the transition from corporate to really going on your own.
Yeah.
Was it daunting for you? Were you prepared for what was going to happen? Being a fully fledged, I almost want to say entrepreneur. How was
Mm-hmm.
that process for you?
It was very daunting, so I'm not going to lie about that. This is something that I had been thinking about doing maybe for like the past 3 years, and I've seen like other influencers that have done it kind of even on shorter notice. But for me, it was really important because as an immigrant here in the United States, I didn't have, a financial fallback. So I wanted to make sure that I was really secure in where I'm at. So for the past 2 years, it kind of took me kind of taking a look at what my business costs look like on a day to day. Like it was getting to the point where, you know, when I was working in Atlanta on my blog as well as my full-time job, if I had like something big, like in New York, which is where, you know, my blogging work brought me up a lot of the times, I would have to like take a one-day flight up to New York, work from, you know, my hotel during the day, and then fly back to Atlanta to make it back in time for work. And so just kind of thinking about like what all of those costs were. And just, you know, as a, like living in the United States, you're also thinking about health insurance and savings, like retirement savings and all of that. I definitely took the time to make sure that I felt financially stable enough to make that jump. And I felt that way late last year, when it got to the point where things were just getting too busy on both ends, and I really was just unable to balance, and I didn't feel like I was giving either my 100%. And then also just, you know, from blogging, I made more than I did at my corporate job as well. And so it just made more sense for me to kind of focus more of my efforts there and see where things would go.
That's amazing. And so now you've made the transition into being an influencer, being an entrepreneur. How has that journey alone been for you?
It's definitely interesting, because it's not like I wake up every morning and have someone that I have to report to. But I think at the same time too, it also shows that you need a lot of self-discipline as well, because it can be easy to just kind of not like busy yourself the way that you should if you didn't have a boss checking in on where you are or, you know, what you're doing. So I think that's been kind of like a big part of it. So I kind of hold myself accountable by having a content calendar, so I know what it is that I need to be working on. Obviously, with brands that I partner with, there are deadlines and things associated with each of those campaigns as well. And just from a personal standpoint, I also want to make sure that my readers and followers never feel like they're just getting one sponsored post after another. So making sure that I'm still injecting, you know, my own personal organic stories into like everything that I do. So I would definitely say just the big thing about it is that it does take discipline, and it does mean that you are holding yourself accountable, because at the end of the day, you know, if money's not coming in and you're not making rent, and especially in New York, it's not where you want to be. Yeah.
So I've had a look at your social media pages, and I must say it's amazing. I mean,
Thank you.
The work that you put in there, it really creates a good impression. And I mean, this is especially for I mean, us being a marketing agency and company working with also influencers and micro influencers. You know, it creates a good perception for you when you are looking to partner with an influencer. So where do you get all these ideas from, or your topics, when putting it out on social media? Because I think, you know, I think that is a challenge for many individuals and businesses and creators.
Yeah. So I source my content from a lot of different things. I think the easiest place to start is the news, like what's trending right now. Is there anything in fashion or in beauty, which is my, you know, area of expertise, but of course it depends on, you know, what area anyone else is in. So you watch and see, is there anything trending? Is there, for example, if it's like Grammys weekend and you're watching all of the dresses come down the red carpet, are there any trends or colors or things that you're seeing that maybe you can translate into more of like an everyday look to like share with your readers of how you took this trend from the red carpet to an everyday outfit? Another place that I really like going to is Pinterest. That's always been like a really great source of inspiration, not even just from like content ideas, but even photography, because a lot of the stuff that you see there, it's like the commercial, very like well shot content, and it kind of also, the algorithm works in a way that you're seeing what other people are searching for too. So whatever it is that you're being served, it's things that, you know, other people are interested in as well. So how can you take those stories and make them more personal, or add your own, you know, point of view to kind of serve your readers up kind of things from a different perspective. But I think the biggest thing is that, you know, the current landscape we're in, the digital landscape, is a blessing and a curse, because sometimes it feels like there's so much information coming at you. but at the same time too, there isn't anything that you would be looking for that you can't find. So I'm always online, and I think that's kind of it always kind of keeps the wheels turning in terms of like what I can come up with next.
So you've been featured in quite a couple of publications. I've had a look at it. Atlanta Magazine is one, Mary Claire is another. I mean, that's only, I think, 2% of where you've been featured. You've been featured in many publications. Share with me more about those publications, and also what is your feeling when you are being featured in high premium publications? You know, do you get some sort of satisfaction to it? Are you happy, you know, that the work that you're really putting in, that you're also getting out?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that for the longest time, when the word influencer or blogger back in the day, what we were called, when that first started, I think that a lot of people were very skeptical about what kind of authority the entertainment industry was giving people that just like have an online blog with readers. And I think that for the longest time, it felt like, you know, especially in fashion, that we weren't taken seriously. But the thing that was just really interesting to see was, you know, when we started to, you know, build up metrics behind the kind of work that we do, we were able to see that, hey, when an influencer posts this dress by this designer, like they're actually able to like quantify the interest and the sales that are being driven through just, you know, an everyday girl posting something on Instagram or on her blog. So I think, you know, when we were kind of able to start quantifying our value, the media started to pick up on the importance of influencers in today's digital landscape. And I still believe that there's a place for everyone. Like, I still respect the work journalists do. I respect the work publicists do, the work stylists do. I think what an influencer does is it kind of takes those professional jobs and somewhat humanizes them to the everyday person. So you don't, like, it's amazing to have that level of experience, but it's also something that you can kind of take up and do on your own, just like by sharing what it is that you like. And yeah, so like being featured in like media publications is amazing. So I think it kind of lends that credence to the kind of work that we do and the impact that we are also having on the industry today.
Amazing. And I love that, that you speak about the human element, you know, and that's why influencers have become so valuable, because they do bring the human element across to, and being able to relate to consumers. And, you know, I mean, in the year 2020, I think we all had certain goals of what we wanted to achieve, but obviously COVID-19 had other, you know, other plans. You know? So share with me a bit about you know, just before COVID-19. I mean, you must have had definitely partnerships, and you had a lot of plans in place, and now COVID-19 kicks in. Tell me what was going through your mind at that time, and also how did you transition during this period?
So it was definitely scary. I think a lot of brands and marketing agencies put their campaigns and initiatives on hold because this was completely unprecedented. Nobody knew what was coming. I think there's still going to be like a bit of fallout from this situation, and we still don't know what's to come. So I think a big part of what I felt that it was like in my place to do as an influencer is to kind of provide like some sort of entertainment for people that, you know, are stuck at home and all you have is your laptops or your phones and your TV. It's basically like, you know, you're stuck at home and your source of entertainment is a screen. So like, what are you offering your followers at that time? So is that like entertainment? Is it educational? Or even like, you know, we saw from our time spent at home, I don't know like how popular they became in South Africa because it's a lot hotter where you guys are at, but like here in the United States, the sales of like sweatpants and sweatsuits shot through the roof, and a big part of that had to do with the way influencers were styling these like easy like at home outfits, but like kind of elevating them so it doesn't look like you're in your pajamas all day, but you can still stay comfortable while still looking stylish. And so like that really drove a lot of those sales. So while some industries definitely saw things going down. Others industries did see sales of their own products going up. And a big part of that was from, the support that they got from influencers. Another area I would say would be skincare. A lot of people started to take more attention to how they're taking care of their skin while they're at home, now that they have the time to do so. So I think it was just kind of staying in tune with what I felt my readers would have been interested in. And I think just kind of continuing to show brands that there still is value in Instagram, because we all saw, just because of the fact that people were spending so much time at home and on their phones, the amount of time people were spending on Instagram, on Facebook, on social media in general, that went up. So that's a great time for brands to position themselves tastefully, of course, because not everyone had budgets to spend on new things, but think about ways to stay educational that still keeps your brand top of mind to your audience.
And I love that you made mention spoke about the education side, because I think at the end of the day, in any aspect, when it comes to education, there's really an opportunity for you to make an impact. And I love the fact that you took that upon yourself as an influencer to bring the education side, and really also to make an impact on individuals that perhaps maybe are finding it challenging during this time. But now they can actually go to someone, they can be on a platform where they feel that they're learning something, or they are being entertained.
Absolutely.
So I just want to know from you, Coco, that I know that when it comes to the influencer industry, it can be challenging, and what a way to make it even more challenging than to have COVID-19 on top of it as well. And I just want to know from you, what keeps you motivated? What really keeps you going? What gets you really to get up in the morning, and not to give in? Because, across the board now, we have seen a lot of industries, a lot of businesses from various sectors that has closed down, individuals that have given up. And I'm sure that there are many more that hasn't made the news, that has already thrown in the towel. But share with me a bit about what really gets you going, and what really motivates you to keep on pushing.
Sure. I totally agree that this time has, unfortunately caused so many small, or not even only small businesses, big corporations as well, to downsize or even shut all the way down. And that's been really sad to see. At the same time too, though, I've also seen instances where brands and influencers have used this opportunity to grow. And that's because, we've kind of gone beyond that idea of shopping all the time, and that consumer mindset, and adding more of that human element to what it is that we do. So growing a community and actually having tough conversations that need to be had. So kind of in addition to everything that's been going on with COVID-19, we all know the United States has been faced with this very big conversation about police brutality and race relations in the country. And we've seen, probably bigger than anything that we've ever seen in our lifetimes, just how broad this conversation has gone. The Black Lives Matter movement isn't anything new, but it is something that really has gained a lot of traction just in these past few weeks. And a big part of that is because people have chosen to finally start speaking up about it. We've also seen brands that have decided not to kind of step away from that conversation. And in a lot of those instances, people are starting to get clued into, what are the brands, if I'm going to be spending my dollar at so-and-so store, do they actually accept me for who I am? So by kind of taking a stand, speaking up for social issues beyond, products you're selling and things that you're pushing, what do you actually stand for? And that's one of the strongest ways that you can relate to your audience or your customers. I think that people are kind of past the stage of wanting to feel like they're being sold a brand. I think that they want to feel kind of more of an intimate relationship with whatever, brand or influencer or personality that they're talking to. And that's been one of the really great things about social media. We see people are like now more accessible than they ever were. And the people that are really doing well right now are the ones that are actually stepping down to speak to their audience one-on-one, to let them know what it is that I stand for outside of, great outfits. We're all human. So what other substance do you have? What else are you bringing to the table? And having these conversations with people that will agree with you, will support, whatever it is that you stand for as well. I think that's like the foundation of community building. And I think that that's what drives me on my day to day, especially in the fashion industry, where we see not a lot of diversity, even in the influencer space. I go to Fashion Week, but I don't see a lot of I know a lot of Black influencers. I don't know a lot of them that, get to the ranks of being invited to Fashion Week shows and a lot of the other opportunities that I know, I've been blessed enough to have, and that I've seen some of my friends get as well. So I think that there still is a lot of room for growth in the industry in that way. And a big part of that is just by standing up for who you are.
I love that. And I totally agree with you. I love diversity. And it's just the ability to bring different people, different opinions, ideas together, which is really needed in this time. So I love that that you also really feel for that. And which brings me to one of my last questions for you is, you've been quite successful, I must say, at what you have done, and you're transitioning from corporate into the entrepreneur space, being an influencer, and you have made an impact and really have added value to a lot of people that you have, and brands and businesses that you have worked with or have come in contact with. But what advice would you give to those perhaps maybe looking to get into this industry that you are in, especially the youth or the young individuals? What kind of advice would you have for them?
I think a big part of it really is to encourage people to figure out why it is that they're starting. I think a lot of people look at being an influencer or being like just a visible person online. They look at it as an easy job or a fun job, or they see the travel and it looks glamorous and all of that. But then they get into it, and then you realize that it takes a lot more discipline to run your own business. And I'm not just even saying that as an influencer, I say that in general. Like, no matter what business it is that you're trying to launch and start for yourself, it means that you become like fully responsible for everything that happens in your business. And a lot of people may not be ready for that yet. So I think a big part of it is that people need to really come to terms with what it is that they're starting it for. And if it's for, the material benefits, I think that it's something that would probably have to be revisited. I think people are kind of past the stage of feeling like they want to feel like bad or jealous, like when they're scrolling on Instagram, they want to like connect with like real people. So think about like what your mission is. And I think that if you always stay true to that, it'll show in like the work that you do. I've always loved, besides like just the social issues, I've always really loved just the creative aspect of things. I worked in marketing up until I left corporate America, and the work that I did was kind of more like always more on the technical side. So I was like a product marketing manager for a software company, but I was always like interested in like getting on like the creative side of things. Like, what would like a visual campaign look like? What if I could like creative direct like a whole shoot for a brand or something along those lines? And so that was kind of where my interest in like starting a blog and kind of starting to do that for myself came about. And I feel and hope that that's, what translates on into my work when people see it, that it's kind of, beyond me just holding a product and talking about a brand because I'm being paid to, but it's kind of me trying to tell that story visually as well.
Awesome. Love that. Thank you so much, Coco, for that.
Of course.
for that explanation and thorough answer. And last thing from my side is there anything that we could perhaps maybe look forward to from you in the next couple? I know it's COVID-19.
Yeah, it's very hard to predict that now. I don't know. I mean, I guess the thing that I'm most excited about, I've moved into my new apartment and it's been like very slow with things coming in. So I'm excited to finally like have that all done and put together, because I've been wanting to share that with my audience. People love an apartment tour. So that's kind of what I'm working towards right now, kind of integrating more home and lifestyle content into my channels.
Awesome. So that's definitely something that we can look forward to in the next couple of months. Hopefully,
right.
hopefully. So thank you so much, Coco, for your time.
Of course.
And just as another reminder, I chatted to Coco Bassey, who is a digital marketer, content creator, and influencer. Really amazing, energetic, exciting individual. So please do go follow her on social media. I think she started a TikTok account recently, if I'm not mistaken. So look out for those awesome, exciting videos coming soon. And thank you so much, Coco, for your time.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Only a pleasure.